Hey everybody, it's Steve from Corporate Gone Country. I'm just an ex-corporate guy trying to do country things, and today the country thing that me and my very handy brother-in-law named Pops are going to be doing is we're going to be changing the axles on this Polaris 2007 4x4 Ranger 500, electronic fuel injected. So we've never done this before, but we think we know what we're doing. We always experience some productivity losses and challenges, and we'll show you all those. We don't have a fancy shop to work in, so we're just doing it right here in front of our tool shed. This is the main reason we're replacing this. We hit a piece of rebar and it wrapped up kind of around that boot there and around the axle. Caused obviously major damage to the boot, and we think the axle is deformed, so we'll replace this one. And while we're doing it, we'll do the other one too. So this is a machine we're working on. It's a Polaris Ranger 4x4 500 2007 model. And here's one of the new axles. Pop's got them off of Amazon. They come completely assembled with the boots already on them. So we'll just pull the old one out and put the new one in. The pair of these was $146, so a bargain. So you'll note that these boxes are different lengths because there's a left axle and a right axle. I showed you the left axle already, and the right axle just comes, we haven't unboxed it yet, so it just comes packaged like that. So I'll take the packaging off the second axle here. Just got these styrofoam end caps, centerpiece, and the axle just in a plastic bag. This is the one that goes on the passenger side or the right side of the vehicle. So it's a little bit of a cloudy day today, so I'm using this light to allow us to see things better, but we need to take this end cap off and break the nut loose underneath it, and also we'll break these tire lug nuts loose. So what we're doing is trying to pry that rubber end cap off with a pry bar, and that came off pretty well. And look at how clean that nut and cotter pin look. So that end cap did its job, because we haven't had that off in a long time. Okay, we straighten out the cotter pin, we're grabbing the other end with vice grips. Giving it a tap. And there it is. So we're just breaking loose the lug nuts here. 3, 4. Now we already loosened this nut here on the other side. We used a 1 1/16 socket on the other side, and it just wouldn't fit over this nut here. So we're going to try 1 1/8. There we go. 1 1/8 worked on this side. Pops reminded me that we had an axle replaced one time, and that was at a shop. So that's probably why we have a different size nut on there. And we got bricks on either side of both tires, so the machine hopefully won't roll on us. Got a board under there to distribute the load, just going right under the frame in the middle. And that's up. We've also got jack stands under the frame. We put one on this side, and we'll put one on the other side as well. Okay, we're just taking this nut off, and it looks like there's 2 washers, so we'll keep those. Okay, what we're doing now is we're taking the bolt from where the shock attaches to the arm right there, and it looks like that's a 9/16 head, and we'll get that bolt out of there and free the shock up. Yep. Okay, that bolt is out. and the shock absorber's stationary. And now we're taking the bolt out that attaches the wheel hub assembly to the arm, and this is a 9/16 head also. Let's see if that comes out. Ah, comes out real nice, and look at that. I was concerned that that bushing right there was going to be all tore up, but it looks pretty good from here. We'll clean it up a little bit and make sure. So what we discovered here is this brake cable is not allowing us to pull that arm up like we'd like. So we're going to go ahead and take off these bolts right here to loosen that up, pull it out, and get it out of our way. So that's a 1/2-inch head, and we're taking off that brake assembly so we can manipulate that rocker arm better. Second bolt out, and that's out of our way. Okay, good job. We'll swing that shock up, put that rocker arm underneath it, and hold the shock out of the way. And hopefully, yep, that gives us access to the axle. And the whole idea will be to pull it out. And look at that, came right out. Let's see how much damage we got here. So yeah, that boot's tore up. When we pulled this old axle out, the snap ring came out with it, and that's something that needs to happen. Otherwise, that snap ring will stay in the hole. And the new axle that we're putting anti-seize on comes with a snap ring right there, you can see. So old one's got to come out so the new one can go in. Okay, we're ready to put the new axle in. Just goes in that hole there, and then you shove it, snap it in there. Okay, got it. Got anti-seize going on the hub end on the splines. Okay, now we're putting the hub back on the axle. And rotating the mount assembly. Put the 2 washers and the nut back on. And that'll draw that brake assembly up towards that mount. Rocker arm comes down, holes line up, and we'll get the bolt and put that back through there.
It doesn't know the difference. I want the socket
Okay.
on the open.
Yeah, so we changed the orientation of that bolt so we could get the socket on the end easier. And then we're putting the bolt in that attaches the shock absorber to the arm. There you go. So we'll tighten up those 2 nuts, and then we got to put the brake pad back on, or the brake assembly. Okay, those are good and tight. Okay, there's a space right there in the middle of the shot. We need to draw that up, so that means we need to tighten the nut on the end of the axle to bring those 2 together. We'll draw that up. So we'll make that closer so we can make the connection for this brake assembly to be attached there. We got the brake pad assembly on there, but we're going to take it off again and redirect this brake cable. We noticed that it was under the axle on the right side of the vehicle, and we put it back the way it was, but we like this orientation better. So we're going to back up a little bit and redirect it. Okay, that's much better. It's going to be out of the way. This is done and put back together, other than putting the wheel back on and tightening up the lug nuts, letting the jack down, and then tightening that nut as tight as we can get it. Okay, we're about to put the wheel back on the tire, and we're eventually going to have to rotate this nut so one of these slots lines up with the cotter pin holes. Tires back on, lug nuts going in.
Hey, there's 2 cotter pins left.
All right, that's what's supposed to be left over. Get the jack stands out, and then lower this down. So the cheater bar is about 4 feet long, and Pops is using his calibrated arm to put 37.5 pounds of pressure on it so we can get 150. But we got to line up the castle nut slots with the cotter pin hole. And you can see the hole is lined up in the middle of that gap in the castle nut. And you just drop the cotter pin in there and twist the end of it. Tap it all the way in. And then we'll go ahead and put that cap on it. And we should be ready to test it out. Everything looks aligned. Get Pops to test it out. I don't hear any clicking.
Well, thank you for watching today's episode of Corporate Gone Country. If you like what you see here, please like and subscribe. We really appreciate your viewership, and we hope to see you on a future video. This one looked like it turned out okay. On to the next project.
All right.
It's not making that clicking noise anymore.
Yeah, cool. All right, I think we're good.